Grace Miller was 5 minutes away from saying, "I do." The small church was full. The flowers were ready. The music was about to begin. Robert, the man everyone called kind and reliable, was waiting at the altar. Then Grace's daughter Anna walked into the bridal room holding an old yellow envelope. Her hands were shaking. "Mom," Anna whispered, "this came this morning." Grace looked at the name on the front. Thomas Reed. Her first love. The man who disappeared 32 years ago. The man she believed had abandoned her without a goodbye. Under her name, Thomas had written one sentence: "Please read this before you marry him." Grace felt the room go quiet around her. Because suddenly, the question was not whether she was ready to marry Robert. The question was what Thomas had waited 32 years to tell her. Grace sat down slowly, still holding the envelope. Anna stood beside her in her soft pink dress, watching her mother's face lose its color. "Mom, you don't have to read it now," Anna said. Grace almost smiled. "Then when?" Outside the bridal room, the organist began playing the first quiet notes. Guests were already waiting. Robert was already standing at the altar. Everything was moving forward. But Grace felt as if time had stopped. She opened the envelope. Inside was a letter written in Thomas's handwriting. "My dearest Grace, if this reaches you before your wedding, then someone finally had the courage I lost years ago." Grace's fingers trembled. Thomas Reed had been the first man she ever truly loved. 32 years earlier, he was 27 and worked at a small print shop downtown. He had no money, no important family, and no perfect plan. But he loved her honestly. He made her laugh in grocery store aisles. He danced with her in empty parking lots. He called her Gracie when no one else was listening. They had planned to leave town together. Thomas bought 2 bus tickets to Oregon. Grace packed 1 suitcase. They were young, scared, and hopeful. But on the night they were supposed to leave, Thomas never came. Grace waited at the bus station until midnight. Rain fell against the windows. Every time a bus arrived, she stood up. Every time the doors opened, her heart broke a little more. Her father found her sitting there alone. He said, "Some men like being loved more than they like staying." The next morning, Robert came to her house. Back then, Robert was not her groom. He was a young lawyer who worked with Grace's father. Quiet. Polite. Always watching. He told Grace that Thomas had taken money from the print shop and left town. "I'm sorry," Robert said. "He wasn't who you thought he was." Grace did not believe him at first. She waited for Thomas to call. He never did. Weeks later, her father gave her a short note. "Grace, do not look for me. I cannot give you the life you want. Thomas." That note ended something inside her. Years passed. Grace raised Anna mostly alone. She built a quiet life. Robert stayed nearby. He helped with legal papers after her father died. He brought soup when Anna was sick. He became the man who did not disappear. A safe man. A steady man. A man she was about to marry. Grace looked back at Thomas's letter and read the next line. "I did not leave because I stopped loving you." Her breath caught. Anna leaned closer. "What does it say?" Grace's eyes filled with tears. Then she read the next sentence. "I left because your father lied to me. But Robert knew more than he ever told you." Grace looked toward the church doors. Robert was waiting at the altar. And now she needed to know whether the man she was about to marry had helped bury the truth. Grace asked Anna to bring Robert to the bridal room. When Robert entered, he was smiling at first. Then he saw the letter. The smile disappeared. "Where did you get that?" he asked. Grace looked at him carefully. "You know what this is?" Robert did not answer fast enough. That was the first answer. Grace unfolded the letter and read aloud. "Your father came to the print shop the night we were supposed to leave. He told me your mother was sick. He said if you ran away with me, it would destroy your family. I did not believe him. Then Robert came. He gave me a note in your handwriting. It said you had changed your mind. It said you were ashamed of me. It said you wanted a better life than I could give you. Grace stopped reading. Her voice was shaking now. I never wrote that. Robert closed his eyes. Anna whispered. Robert? Grace continued. I still went to the bus station. I waited for you. I saw your father take you home. Later, Robert told me you never wanted to see me again. Grace pressed the letter to her chest. All these years, she had believed she was the only one waiting at that station. But Thomas had been there too. Somewhere in the same rain. Both of them waiting. Both of them lied to. Grace looked at Robert. Did you give him a fake note? Robert's face looked older than it had minutes ago. Yes, he said quietly. Anna covered her mouth. Grace felt the answer like a hand around her throat. Robert stepped closer. I was young. Your father asked me to help. He said Thomas would ruin your life. My life? Grace said. Or his control over it? Robert had no answer. Grace kept reading. I came back 6 months later. I wrote to you. Then I wrote again the next year. I sent letters for years. I never knew if you received them. Grace looked up. I never received anything. Robert stared at the floor. Grace's voice became softer. You saw me grieving. You saw me wondering. And you said nothing. Robert's eyes filled. I thought telling you would destroy you. No, Grace said. It would have destroyed your chance. That sentence broke the silence. Outside, someone knocked. Grace? Everyone is ready. No one answered. Robert reached for her hand. I did love you, he said. Grace pulled away. You loved me in a way that needed me not to know the truth. Robert swallowed hard. I stayed. Thomas didn't. Grace lifted the letter. Thomas was pushed away. You stayed because you helped close the door. Robert looked helpless now. Not cruel. Not evil. Just frightened. A man who had spent decades telling himself silence was kindness. Grace read the final part of Thomas's letter. I am not writing this to ask you to come back to me. We are not young anymore. I do not know what life has made of us. But I could not let you marry Robert without knowing your choice was stolen once. Please do not let it be stolen again. Thomas. Grace folded the letter slowly. Robert whispered, What are you going to do? Grace looked at her wedding dress in the mirror. Then at Anna. Then at Robert. I'm going to walk down the aisle, she said. For 1 second, Robert looked relieved. Then Grace added, And I'm going to tell everyone why there will be no wedding today. The church became silent when Grace appeared. Everyone turned to look at her. She walked slowly down the aisle, holding Thomas's letter in one hand. Anna walked behind her, close enough to catch her if she fell. But Grace did not fall. Robert stood at the altar, pale and still. The priest opened his book. Grace raised her hand gently. Please wait. A quiet confusion moved through the guests. Grace faced the room. I'm sorry, she said. There will be no wedding today. Someone gasped. Robert lowered his head. Grace looked at him with sadness, not hatred. I came here believing I was choosing peace, she said. But peace built on silence is not peace. It is a room with no windows. The church went completely quiet. For 32 years, I believed Thomas Reed abandoned me. Today I learned he did not. He was forced away by lies. My family helped create those lies. And Robert helped keep them. People whispered. Robert said softly, Grace, please. She turned to him. That is what hurts most. I know you cared for me. I know you stayed. But love is not only about staying. Love is also telling the truth when silence would give you what you want. Robert's eyes filled with tears. I was afraid of losing you. Grace nodded. And because of that fear, you never really gave me a choice. She removed the engagement ring from her finger. For a moment she held it in her palm. It was beautiful. Simple. Respectable. Then she placed it on the altar. I don't know what happens next, Grace said. I don't know if Thomas is waiting somewhere. I don't know if the past can become anything more than a memory. But I know I would rather leave this church alone than enter a marriage built on a lie. Anna began to cry. Grace walked back down the aisle. Not running. Not breaking. Walking. Outside, the sunlight was soft on the church steps. The air smelled like rain, though the sky was clear. Anna hugged her mother. Are you okay? She asked. Grace looked at Thomas's letter. No, she said. But I think I'm finally honest. That night, Grace sat at her kitchen table. Her wedding dress hung over a chair. Her shoes were by the door. The house was quiet. At the bottom of Thomas's letter was a return address in Maine. Grace touched it with her fingertips. She did not call him that night. Because this was not a story about a woman running from one man to another. It was about a woman finally choosing herself. 3 weeks later, she mailed Thomas a short letter. Thomas, I received your letter. I cried for the girl we were. I am angry for the years we lost. I do not know what we are now. But if you still want to tell me the truth in person, I will listen. Grace. 2 months later, Grace stood at a small train station near the coast. She wore a blue dress, not white. A train arrived at 4:15. People stepped onto the platform. Then she saw him. Thomas Reed. Older now. Slower. His hair silver. But his eyes were the same. He stopped when he saw her. For a long moment, neither of them moved. Then Thomas lifted one hand, as if asking permission to come closer. Grace smiled through tears. The story does not end with a wedding. It does not end with a kiss. It ends with two people carrying 32 years of silence between them, finally having the chance to speak. Because sometimes a second chance does not begin with I do. It begins with tell me everything. If this story touched your heart, subscribe for more emotional stories like this.